actually. That was much nicer.
Hey guys, Rob here with McDojoLife, and the man you just watched knock somebody from across the room using nothing more than finger guns and chi goes by the name of Grandmaster Art Mason. What makes him a Grandmaster, you might ask? Well, apparently it's because he just says so. You see, Art here started his own martial art called Han Song Musa Hapkido, or however you pronounce it, and made himself a 9th degree black belt in it. Of course, he didn't give himself a 10th degree black belt because apparently he just hates when people do that.
Have you gotten off your lazy fat ass and actually done any work? Martial arts people are some of the worst I've ever seen for putting in 5-10 years in a martial art, calling themselves 10th dans and lying about their past, and then attacking everything that they can find.
Art here apparently really hates lazy people. Do you think he was just born with the ability to knock people out with his mind and his chi? No, he had to work hard at it. According to his website, Art here has been studying martial arts for over 40 years, starting in 1984.
I was in the martial arts when many of you black belts weren't even an inch in your daddy's pants yet.
Over the course of that 40 years, Art here has studied many martial arts, which includes Systema and small circle jiu-jitsu. He's also earned a 3rd degree black belt in Kosho Shori Ryu. He's earned a 5th degree black belt in Taekwondo and a 6th degree black belt in Kyosho Jitsu. Now, I'm sure most of you are aware of what Taekwondo is, but unless you've been following the page for a while, you might not necessarily know what Kyosho Jitsu is. And if you don't know what Kyosho Jitsu is, you probably are missing out on the figurehead of Kyosho Jitsu, George Dillman. For those of you out there who are unfamiliar with Kyosho Jitsu and unfamiliar with George Dillman, let me play you a little clip of George Dillman claiming to be able to bring an animal back from the dead using Kyosho Jitsu.
I want to tell you something. I think I've told this story here before. I had a pet that died, and I brought it back. I actually did my revival techniques, as you see here. I actually crossed the bottom paws, the legs, held it and tapped. I got the heart started, I got the lungs started. I don't care if you believe that no one else, there was no witnesses. There were no witnesses. I was alone. But I actually brought that animal back, but I could not bring the head back because I don't know how long, it was dead too long in the head, and it came back and it was suffering. But I brought it back, and I did that just to prove, to see my techniques as an experiment. Then I had the animal, I put it in a trash bag, squeezed the air out, and suffocated to put it back under to get rid of the animal.
Any excuse to show that crazy asshole on this channel is a good excuse. But anyway, we continue. On his website, Grandmaster Art here gives a nod to his Kosho teachings to a guy named James Matosi and also to a guy named Bruce Jushnik, who was batshit crazy in his own right. Take a little look at his teachings.
I grabbed your weapon.
Describe how you're doing that again.
Dependency, center triangulation. Anything I move with this free hand, now see now nothing because I've disconnected this. Disconnected. So one hand is a free hand, a floating hand. One hand is a control hand, just like on a stance. So once you understand that, say, that's one thing. Then you can just do the one hand. Is that cool?
It's like sorcery or something.
Harry Potter ain't got nothing on me, baby.
I truly wish he was joking, but he's not. Art here seems to have some sort of disdain for martial arts outside of the ones he teaches, claiming, and I quote, that they are not a threat and also just don't work.
Why are you still allowed to practice martial art? Because it's impotent. It doesn't work. Martial arts taught today are reactionary martial arts. They only work when the attacker is not trying to do harm. Kosho Ryu only works when the attacker is trying to do harm.
He claims on his website that modern martial arts are only associated with sport and an activity for kids, while the martial arts that he teaches is for pure street self-defense. Huh, that's interesting. Pure street self-defense, you say. Well, let's take a little look at what you're teaching.
Today I'm leaving you with something interesting. It's a video that was filmed yesterday. A Skype call between myself and Sensei Muhammad Ali in Malaysia, in which I did a chi pull from here to students over there.
We are attempting to do a chi pulling session with our Grandmaster Art Mason in Romania. We will be standing here in a line, and Grandmaster Art Mason will be pulling us from over a distance. It should be a very historic event. It's the first time, as I know, that this type of chi pulling has been done over a distance. Okay, so Grandmaster, I've got my other camera recording now. Okay, so everybody relax. We can feel the pulling. Yeah. It's actually quite strong, the force. Okay. I think we got a success here. I can feel the movement. Okay.
From this distance, like, I have had people pass out on the line. It's almost like you're fishing. You're just pulling back and forth until you can really get all the way to the front of the line. And eventually, the most sensitive person on the line will collapse first. Make sure you get some water in you for the next half hour.
Okay, we can do that.
If it's attacking the kidneys, it's going to flush the water out of the kidneys and could end up getting dehydrated the rest of the day. You'll know because you'll get a bit of a headache from it.
There are lots of people who are going to go, oh, that's bullshit. Don't bother to leave a comment because I'm sorry, but I don't give a shit what you think. It's very simple to explain because everything's connected. There isn't even a number to represent the things that we do not understand in the world, even though science has got their heads so far crammed up their ass they think they know everything. But they don't know anything.
Clearly, the deadliest martial art you will ever see in the street. The ultimate irony here is previously in this video, he was speaking about how other martial arts are only effective against people who are not attacking you, and his martial art being only effective when people are attacking you. But for some reason, all of his videos of him performing his techniques are only against people who are not attacking him. His website has quote after quote of him talking down on other martial arts, claiming that they're only for sport. But how else do you actually pressure test a martial art? Hear me out. In the grand scheme of things, there are only really two different ways to pressure test your martial art. One, under a rule set, such as in a tournament, in a match, sparring, or some type of organized full contact fight, or the street. Now, you could go out and get into a bunch of random street fights. You could do that. The only problem with that, of course, is if you consistently do that, you're probably going to end up either seriously injured, dead, or in jail. And it's probably safe to say that Mr. Art here probably has not done that. So this really only leaves any of us and Art himself with option number 2, which is to test your technique in a high-pressure situation that's governed. For example, Art here teaches something called Damak.
What the hell is a Dumac?
Otherwise known as the death touch. Does Art go around just getting into random street fights to kill people with his death touch to prove that it works? Absolutely not. Well, seeing as how killing people would be illegal and would put him into jail, he probably needs some kind of parameters to test what he's doing. Now, for all of us sane people, that would mean that we would have to spar or fight in a competition or compete against someone in a full contact match. But since Art is against that, and he doesn't clearly test this in the street, that means he's just full of shit and has never tested it at all. Meaning that he has absolutely no clue if this works under true duress or pressure. So, based on the videos he himself has put out and released, which include the one that you saw at the beginning of this video of him knocking someone out from across the room, it seems that his art only really seems to work on people who are willing to allow it to work on them.
Stop! Blasphemer!
But that isn't the only thing he just talks out of his ass about. Check this out.
And there's an illusion in the martial arts that existed and never used to exist, that now age matters and size matters. When martial arts is taught correctly, and a true martial art is taught, You get better with age, and size and sex don't matter.
Bullshit. This is one of the oldest sayings in the martial arts cliche book, is that size and age and weight don't matter. They absolutely matter. They're just not the only thing that matters. Can a toddler beat up a 34-year-old able-bodied man? Absolutely not. Can a 150-year-old man beat a 34-year-old able-bodied man, even if they have no training? Absolutely not. Probably because they're dead, but still, they can't. Now, clearly, both of those examples are extremes in terms of explaining why age does matter in self-defense. But it does show that clearly it does have an effect and it does matter. And if you think that it has no bearing whatsoever, you're not living in reality. Can a morbidly obese person who is so large they can't leave the bed physically defend themselves against an able-bodied person who can move well? No, they can't. They can effectively not do that. But would you rather be hit by a bicycle or a bus? Me personally, probably the bicycle. These are also extreme examples of size mattering, but it still shows that they do absolutely matter. Why are the weight classes in pretty much every combat sport? Because size does play a factor. Age and size absolutely matter in a fight, even when there is no rule set. They just aren't the only factors. They're just not the only thing that matters, but they do matter. And if you think they play absolutely no role in the outcome of a fight, you're just lying to yourself. But hey, who am I to criticize his opinions here? He was inducted into the United States Martial Arts Hall of Fame. But is it really a Hall of Fame if you had to pay to be in it? Now, on his website, he talks about the DMOC, and he actually even sells this program on his website. He even alludes to the death of Bruce Lee being because of the death touch. Me personally, I think it's a crock of shit. I think it's just complete nonsense that he's trying to sell to gullible people to make them believe they can have some type of supernatural abilities that they do not possess. And I'm sure Art himself will watch this video and probably disagree with everything that I said. But if you're going to disagree with me, that's one thing. But would you disagree with somebody that you gave credit to on your website? Here's what Bruce Jushnik has to say.
So many people out there today, and they say whatever they want to say. I always say proof is in the pudding. If you hear people in Koshuru make claims about Kosho, if you want to learn, please contact us.
Now that I agree with. The proof is in the pudding. So here, I'm going to offer this to Art Mason, the same thing that I offer to anybody who believes that they have these magical chi powers and can knock people out without touching them. How about you test it out on me? I am 100% willing to be proven wrong. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing for you to test this on me on camera. I will stand there. You can try to shoot your finger gun chi at me just like you did at the beginning of this video on the other guy. I'll just stand there, no fist fighting required, and then all you have to do is knock me out with your mind. The proof is in the pudding, according to somebody that you yourself say you respect. So what is it, Art? Are you going to be able to prove what you say you can do, or are you just full of shit? Time to give this guy some Dillmans. Not only does he talk out of his ass about many things in the martial arts industry, but he also seems to be crazy enough to think he can knock people out with his mind. The arts that he gives credit to, such as Systema and small circle jiu-jitsu, also are full of crazy fucking people who also believe in magical powers. He even went as far as to start his own Kyoshu Jitsu organization, in which he himself is the figurehead. You know, Kyoshu Jitsu, like other people who believe they can knock people out with their mind. So, since he does believe he can knock people out with his chi powers, I give him 5 out of 5 Dillmans. Ironically enough, Steve Stewart is someone that he gives credit to for being an instructor of his for Kyoshu Jitsu, and Steve Stewart, guess what? He was promoted by George Dillman. This brings us to the question today, brought to you by Guntology. For those of you out there who enjoy shooting firearms, Guntology is a shroud that goes around the barrel or silencer of your gun. So that way, while it's slung, you pop off a few rounds and you drop it, the barrel doesn't burn you. It's a fantastic product. I think it's great. I've used it a few times myself, and I gotta tell you, it's awesome. So the question of the day isn't really about the fraud. So the question of the day really isn't about the instructor, it's more about the student. You see, in martial arts, there's lineage. And lineage means that they pass down the information from one person to the next, and then they pass it down to the next, and so on and so on. Why do you think the students, not the teacher, why do you think the students themselves believe they are being knocked out with chi? Is it some type of placebo effect? Do you feel like it's pressure because they don't want to embarrass their instructor in front of other people? Maybe it's a cult mentality where they fear that if they stand up and speak out that they'll be ostracized and excommunicated from the cult. What do you think it is? As always, I look forward to reading your comments in the comment sections below. Thank you all for the likes, comments, shares, subscriptions, memberships, and all that other crap. Keep the martial arts legit.
Things just haven't been the same, living strange since my baby joined that Dojo.